Mr. Watanabe and dignitaries on the desk, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Watanabe was very kind when he said that I am an expert in this field, but I am not. Actually, neither I am a city planner, nor I am an architect, but I have taken a lot of interest in this subject. So therefore, when Mr. Agarwal from the CRS Foundation, Research Foundation, he invited me, I couldn't resist the temptation of accepting this offer. So I am grateful to Mr. Agarwal and I am also grateful to you. Now, before me, a lot of speakers have given their idea about smart cities. While I agree with all of them, because in fact smart cities have not been clearly defined anywhere. There is no absolute definition of smart cities. Different countries have adopted different models, and they have selected different elements for smart cities. But by and large, 6 major elements have been selected by many of these cities, many of the countries for setting up their smart cities. And these are basically the economy, mobility, environment, citizenship, quality of life, and management. But before I go into this, I'll just highlight what are the major requirements of, or what are the necessities for such smart cities. Friends, as you all are aware, the urban population is growing in leaps and bounds. In the year 1800, the world population was just 2% urbanized. And today, the world over, it's about 50% or so. 50% of the world population are living in cities. In India, this figure is not that much. It's about 30%. But by the year 2050, about 50% of India's population will live in cities. So there is a greater necessity for planning our cities and making these cities livable and making them such that people who live there, they actually enjoy the facilities available there. Friends, issues of growth and sustainability require creation of cities which use new information and communication technology to improve 1. Productivity, then quality of life, and third is the environment, which is also very important because slowly and slowly the environment is getting polluted and the environment is getting degraded. What is a smart city? Let us understand. Many people have talked about smart cities and there is a definition of smart cities. But as I said, there is no clear-cut definition. There is no absolute definition of smart cities. Traditionally, a smart city is thought to be a city which uses information and communication technology to make both its critical infrastructure, its components and utilities more interactive, efficient, making citizens more aware of them. Broadly, a smart city invests in human and social capitals and in communication infrastructure to actively promote sustainable economic development and high quality of life through wise management of natural resources through participation of citizens and government. I have already outlined what are the 6 basic elements of a smart city and which has been adopted by many of the countries in the world. That is economy, mobility, environment, citizenship, quality of life and management. Smart economy, yeah. Basically refers smart industries and using of ICT for the business processes. Then these are the other elements of smart economy. Penetration of ICT use in business, attracting talent and promoting creativity, support for entrepreneurship, business spaces, internationalization, that is attracting international attention to the smart city. Then citizens. These are the elements of the elements of citizens, education and training, which refers to population with higher education and strong presence of a university, which will impact this education and training. Then e-learning, closing digital divide and promoting digital skills of teachers, incorporating new generation digital learning resources and virtual education. Then lifelong training, which is very important because the people who live in these cities, smart cities, they will have to have lifelong training. And then human capital, which again refers to cooperation between companies and knowledge centers, research and development and innovation. This is public administration here plays a very vital role, and certain percentage of revenue has to be dedicated for this purpose. Management. Strategic plans to promote e-government and ICT, online public services, transparent governance, e-democracy, promoting ICT and innovation. E-democracy is an online platform for citizens participation in the process, governance process. This also in some countries includes electronic voting and promoting ICT and innovation among public and businesses. Then mobility. Mobility here doesn't imply the physical mobility like trains, buses, and metros, etc. Multimodal transportations and mass rapid system. But it means access to new technology and use in everyday life. So internet, basically internet, broadband, high-speed internet coverage, that will define this connectivity of ICT infrastructure. Then public internet access, that means setting up Wi-Fi hotspots and different hubs around the city where people can easily connect to the net, and they can participate in this process, governance process. Then the next one is environment, where the sub-elements are security and trust. Environment is basically use of new technology to protect and preserve a city's environment. Security and trust, implementing ICT as security system and security, for example, video surveillance. Then culture and identity, initiatives to digitize and share cultural heritage. Then quality of life, this is the most important aspect of the smart city. Quality of life to be achieved through application of new technology for better healthcare, safety, housing, tourism, etc. And under that you have e-health, which is basically creating electronic records of health, diagnosis and monitoring, online monitoring of patients, including management of the organizations which are involved in these activities, accessibility and e-inclusion, to bridge gap in digital divide and digital inclusion plan. What is this concept of smart cities in context of India? Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi in a recent speech has said, countries are not built on river banks, anymore, but along highways with availability of optical fiber networks and next-gen infrastructures. The government wants to set up 100 smart cities. So the initial intention is to set up 100 smart cities. Depending on the experience and the success, then it may be more also. It could be 500, it could be even less. But the whole idea of smart city is now evolving. These 100 smart cities are likely to include, this has been reported in different newspapers. They will include capital of states and UTs, union territories, cities in the population range of different population range, 0.5 million to 1 million. These are small cities. Then 1 million to 4 million, and 4 million to over 4 million, and of course cities of religious and tourist importance. So this is basically the matrix, and this is the idea which has been spelled out by the government in different forums. Now, I would, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to quote something from this year's budget speech of the Honorable Finance Minister, Mr. Jaitley. He has spoken about this, who will be the inhabitants of these smart cities. He specifically says the neo middle class. Which is the neo middle class? These, technocrats, young boys and girls. They will be the inhabitants of this middle class. Their aspirations and their aims and aspirations will be met through these smart cities. And ministry for attracting FDI, that is, they have reduced the area from 50,000 square meters to 20,000 square meters, and the investment amount from 10 million US dollar to 5 million US dollars. Then apart from that, a National Industrial Corridor Authority with its headquarters in Pune has been set up, and this will link with the transport connectivity. This will be linked with the transport connectivity, which will be the cornerstone of the strategy to drive India's growth in manufacturing and urbanization. I have provided an initial purpose of 100 crore for this. This is the statement of the Finance Minister in the Parliament during his budget speech. So this gives an idea of what is the thinking of the government. Then to continue with what are the other elements of the smart cities of India. Now, Union Urban Development Ministry has already identified 5 major elements for the proposed smart cities. 1, 24/7 availability of electricity and water, quality electricity and water. And second, robust transport system, especially public transport. Third, employment livelihood of inhabitants. Fourth, entertainment facilities, proper safety, security of people, state-of-the-art health and education facilities. And the fifth and last, efficient use of energy and water, minimizing waste and recycling of waste. Friends, if you look at it, basically these are the reasons why people from villages, they migrate to cities. Basically these are things, quality of life, entertainment and environment. Then for land requirement for smart cities, we are not very clear, though some intention has been made in different fora about where exactly these smart cities are going to be built. So a vague idea is that some may be built in some may be in the existing cities, some may be greenfield projects. So for greenfield projects, naturally land would be required, and for extension of existing cities, land will also be required. But land acquisition is a very tricky matter. The right to fair compensation and transparency in land acquisition, Rehabilitation and Resettlement Act 2013 has become effective from September 27, last year. So this act has been basically to give compensation to the people who are affected by different projects and to ameliorate their social and other impacts, environmental impact on them. So this act basically has taken into consideration the different amendments which have been undertaken and which have been suggested. And this act is basically very robust and very tough act. It's pro people and pro poor people, the backward, the scheduled caste tribes, and it envisages a good amount of, huge amount of compensation to these kind of people. And I just narrate. Basically, I was told to speak something about the land acquisition, if at all it is required for the smart cities. So I'll just spell out some of the features of this the new act. So the name is very long: Rehabilitation and Compensation, Fair Compensation and Rehabilitation, Transparency and Land Acquisition Act. So what are the features? The most important feature is consultation with local self-government institutions and Gram Sabhas. List disturbance to the owners of land and affected families. Just and fair compensation to affected families whose land has been proposed to be acquired or has been acquired or proposed to be acquired. Adequate provisions for their rehabilitation and resettlement, their inclusion in development process. The Act will apply when government acquires land for its own use, for PSUs and for public purposes. Public purpose has been comprehensively defined so that government intervention in acquisition is limited to only defense and certain developmental projects. Consent of at least 80% of the project affected families is required to be obtained through a prior informed process. Acquisition under urgency clause has also been limited for the purpose of national defense, security purposes and rehabilitation and resettlement needs in the event of only emergencies or natural calamities. To ensure food security, multi-crop irrigated land to be acquired only as a last resort measure. An equivalent area of cultivable wasteland to be developed if multi-crop land is acquired. To ensure comprehensive compensation package for the landowners, a scientific method for calculation of the market value of the land has been provided, which is incidentally about 4 times in rural areas, including the compensation or the solution. In urban areas, it's about two times the market rate. Then, apart from that, the new Act has provision for comprehensive rehabilitation and resettlement package for landowners, including subsistence allowance, jobs, house, 1 acre of land in case of irrigation projects, transport allowance and resettlement allowance, comprehensive rehabilitation and resettlement package for livelihood losers, including subsistence allowance, jobs, house, transportation allowance and resettlement allowance. There are special provisions for scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. Additional benefits, apart from the benefits which have already been spelled out, additional benefits of 2.5 acres of land or extent of land lost to each affected family has to be given. One-time financial assistance of 50,000 rupees has to be given. 25% additional rehabilitation and resettlement benefits for the families settled outside the district. Free land for the community and social gathering and continuation of reservation in the resettlement area. 25 infrastructural amenities to be provided in the resettlement area, including schools, playgrounds, health centers, road, electricity connections, assured sources of safe drinking water, panchayat, guts, etc. Anganwadis, place of worship, burial and cremation grounds, village level post offices, fair price shops and seed cum fertilizer storage facilities. the provisions, I'm sorry. So, friends, you can see from these the provisions of the Act that there are so many things which are involved. Social impact studies have to be done, environmental impact studies have to be done. Then the displaced people have to be resettled, they have to be rehabilitated, jobs have to be given, fair compensation has to be given. In case of civil costs, civil rights, special provision have to be made for them. So, and employment has to be given to them. So this Act has very robust provision that is pro people. So it makes actually the land acquisition very, very difficult. So therefore, friends, to conclude, I will say only just a few things, that the provisions of this Act makes it difficult to acquire land for projects like smart cities. It is cumbersome and time consuming to acquire land under this Act. Acquisition, resettlement, rehabilitation, etc. make the process expensive. Social impact assessment and environmental impact assessment may lead to delay and denial of land. So therefore, friends, my earnest request would be for the government to have a very look at this Act. Thank you very much. Thank you for your presence here.